In this video, we install Apple CarPlay on a 3rd gen Toyota RAV4.
Stop it. We're not saying that on camera.
The number one comment I've been getting on the YouTube channel regarding our RAV4 is, what head unit is that? What head unit is that? What stereo is that? Brother, what stereo is that? I've been getting this comment for about a year, and I haven't made this video because, one, I don't like recommending products that I don't really believe in. I want to test them. I want to make sure they're good. And now I finally have a little bit more knowledge of options for the Toyota RAV4, and I can get into how to install this in your 3rd gen Toyota RAV4. As you can see, we already have our CarPlay head unit installed in the vehicle. So what I'm going to need to do in this video is uninstall this head unit, then reinstall the factory head unit, then walk you through how to remove the factory head unit and put this bad boy in. Let's do all that off camera and start with the factory head unit installed in this vehicle. All right, we're back to the factory head unit being installed. And in order to remove the factory head unit and install any head unit from here on out, you're only going to need 2 tools, maybe 3. You're going to need an interior plastic prying bar, and you're going to need a 10mm socket with an extension. You can use a power ratchet, which I'm going to use today, or you could use a hand ratchet or a drill, but you definitely need a 10mm with an extension. If you don't have this, the next 2 steps are going to be pretty hard. In order to get this part removed from any RAV4, you're going to have to start by removing these 2 panels here. These are just held on by interior clips. Sometimes they break, sometimes they don't. Depends on how dry and rotted your car is. But the way I found to remove these, the easiest way, is you can either come in and get the gap in between the panel here and the actual plastic piece here, or I take this end, which is the end that you're used to pry like interior bolts off, get it in there, let it pop forward just a little bit. See, that just popped forward, and then I can work my way, down a little bit, and see how it's kind of popping out there, and then just gently pop it out. Now, I did great. I didn't break any clips, and you'll see here there's just one little sensor that is the button for the center diff lock if you have a 4-wheel drive RAV4. If you don't have a 4-wheel drive RAV4, you don't have that button, and you just squeeze this tab and remove that piece. The next side is exactly the same. There's no hidden tricks to this. Again, use a plastic tool. See how I'm kind of marking up my dash here, but luckily that's not anything bad. It's just my hands. I like to come in through here. Let me see if I can show you guys on camera, or at least get into an access point. Move my way to the top, and then pop it. Boom. Yeah, that's just from my knuckles. And then now that it's popped, I can work my way down, and boom. And then again, one little sensor clip right here where my pinky is to remove, and you're free and clear with the side pieces. Now that the side pieces are removed, it's actually pretty freaking easy to remove the factory head unit. There's going to be 4 10mm bolts. There's one up here, very close to me, and there's one behind, a little bit deeper. That's to secure the head unit in place. There's 2 on the other side as well. I've removed the bolts from these 2 just for the sake of this video, but these 2 definitely need to come out. And the best way I found to do that is get your 10mm with an extension. Start with the bottom one first. If you're installing the same head unit that I'm installing, you won't need to reuse these. If you're installing like a Metra dash kit or something else that uses a different type of mounting system altogether, you might want to hold on to these to keep them for another time. But I just finger tightened these so we can move fast in the video, but you're gonna have to hit them with an electric socket or a ratchet, and then they should just pop out. Boom. And then I'll get this guy. He should just pop out too. He's in there loose. Let's see. Okay, and these 2 are gone, and then what's gonna happen is the radio is gonna snap into the air conditioning vent just piece here, this trim piece. There's actually snaps in here. So when you pull this forward, I like to start with my thumb on the piece and work my way around. See, that one just popped right out. Instead of taking 2 hands and yanking, just use your thumb as a leverage point. Start with the corner and pull it. and then you should be able to pull this whole thing forward. So the head unit comes out, and there's a bunch of wires in the back of the head unit here, and I'm just gonna show you on the camera. And they are all easy to remove. They just have like a single press in. They're just white sensors, and you're gonna wanna unplug every single one of those sensors so you can pull this head unit free. Now the number one thing you wanna make sure is these head units from the factory have these metal brackets on the side, and if you drop this while you're trying to remove those pieces, they will scratch your car and they will cut you. They're not made to be user friendly, so they're pretty sharp, and this head unit is pretty heavy itself. So I have like my elbow against the center console holding it up, but when you go in to remove all the connections in the back, just make sure you don't rest the head unit on your climate control, otherwise you're going to scratch your climate control. Another pro tip is you could probably put a nice microfiber towel down here just to make sure things don't get scratched, but since I've now done this 3 times, I'm going to do it one-handed and unplug everything. So you guys can see me. I'm going to start with the antenna here. That's the radio antenna. Got one, got 2, there we go, and then finally that. All right, so now the radio is unplugged, and you're going to want to unplug this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Depending on your RAV4, you might be using that as it looks like it might be a changer or a backup cam or whatever. And then I did not use this one either, I only used this one. And the factory head unit is now free and clear. The next couple steps are completely up to you. If you're just happy with a CarPlay unit and you don't want to add a backup cam and you don't want to add wired USB or wired CarPlay, you're done. You just need to buy a new unit and you can pop it in. And this is the head unit that we purchased. You can see it already has the trim on it, and I'm going to put a link right here. The beauty of this head unit is it's kind of already molded for the hole that it's going to go in. You don't need to buy a dash kit. It's got a giant screen. This one is an Android based head unit, and the reason why I went with Android on this car is because I wanted to side load apps. If you guys are like audio nerds like me, you know that side loading's cool. You could run like OBD monitoring, you can run navigation apps, you can run a whole bunch of stuff on an Android device. Now the back of this head unit has already adapters and plugs built in. It has just a black plug that goes there. It has RCAs if you want to run an amp and a sound system. It's got GPS, it's got satellite radio controller, it's got a tuner controller, it's got all kinds of stuff. If you have a JBL RAV4 that'll say like JBL here, then you're gonna want to get yourself a pack harness, which I'll put on the screen here. And the reason why you want a pack harness is it takes the signal from the steering wheel controls and it talks to the amplifiers that are underneath the seats and all throughout the vehicle, and it makes the signal a lot cleaner than relying on just these units. So I do want to just give you the heads up there. If you do have a JBL, I highly recommend you get a pack harness to control your radio with your steering wheel. But we do not have a JBL system in this car, so we can easily just plug all this into the harnesses and plugs that are part of the car. Before we throw this head unit back in the car, we do also want to install a backup camera, and I want to have a tidy USB port for CarPlay. I want to give you a quick update here. Since I was one of the first people to buy this head unit, I bought the first model that only had wired CarPlay. But if you are looking for a wireless CarPlay solution, the head unit that I'm going to link in the description and the one that I'm showing in the video here now has wireless and wired CarPlay. You're solved there on both fronts. I like having a wired CarPlay experience because it charges my phone while I drive. I installed a USB port here into one of the dummy plugs you can find on Amazon, which I'll link to. You're going to run a wire basically from this panel under and around and then up through here, and that's what this head unit's going to connect to, that it can talk to your phone with CarPlay. So I pulled this off, and you can see there's my traction control button, there's my cigarette lighter adapter, and then this is my dummy plug with my USB cord. And the trick is to get the USB cord behind this wall here and up and around into here. What I can do is I can pull this bad boy out, and then you can fish the cable down. All right, sorry for the bad camera work, but you can see now I've looped the cable around and up. That's the end of the cord there. and I can now plug in a USB port to this dummy plug here. Now, if you have like a RAV4 Premium, you're gonna have seat heaters here. So then what I would do is pull the cigarette lighter adapter and then get a USB plug for one of those. I'll link to that right now. Super easy to pull this bad boy out. It unscrews from the back, just pops out. You undo the power here, and then this part will unscrew, and then you have a big hole here, and then you just thread in kind of like a boat plug into here, and it has a USB port, and it's the same. You're gonna fish it down and in. There's a nice opening on the right here to get the cable down, and you can plug it on in. We do not have heated seats, so I just use one of the heated seat plugs. Again, I'll link to this plug on Amazon, but super easy to pop in. Before we go ahead and finish the install, we went and we installed a backup camera. And I put the backup camera, as you can see, it's got double-sided tape and it's here. There are some backup cameras that use your license plate holes that bolt in here, which I would highly recommend those compared to the one I'm using. But the way you're gonna have to install the backup camera is you're gonna have to use that trim tool and pop all these rivets off on this giant panel here. I'll show you how to do that right now. And you're gonna wanna start popping some rivets. You'll hear it go. See that? They're just popping. And we'll keep going all the way around. Once you get a few going, it becomes a lot easier to do. All right. That's good. And we'll come all the way up here. Yep. And then what's gonna happen is it's gonna disconnect from the plastic in here. There's gonna be like 2 little pop rivets that go in this way, and you can remove this panel. All right. Now there are no bolts holding it in place. Some cars have a handle or whatever. This one doesn't. Now that you got everything loose, go in here and pop out the dome light. And then there's a connector right here in the dome light. This way when you pull it, you don't break this bad boy. Cool. The dome light. And then this just pops in like that. Okay, and we're clear. This might look a little scary. You're like, what the heck is going on in here? There's so much. The RAV4s that come with the spare tire, it's cool. There's a spare tire mount right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that wire that I showed you from the backup cam, and I'm gonna feed it in from behind the license plate light. Here, let me see if I can get some light for you guys. But there is a light that illuminates the license plate right here. I ran the wire in from that behind. Then the wire goes along this here. I've popped it through this grommet right here. And that's the video signal wire. You can tell because it's yellow. And then there's gonna be another set of wires that it needs. It needs some sort of power. And this is your power wire. And in order for me to do the power wire, I split the power wire in two. One has a ground going to an existing ground of the car, which is this right here. This is the ground that the defroster uses. And then the other is power that goes to the rear wiper motor. There's a constant, a signal, and a ground. And I just use the constant power from the rear wiper motor. Short little thing here, was totally fine, won't pop a fuse. That camera uses almost no power whatsoever, so it's not gonna pop a fuse. Now there's other areas in here where you can try to tap in power. So like here's more grounds, here's a relay. So you might be able to tap, like this has a lot of power, you can tell. You might be able to tap in some power from all these other places, but I just use the rear wiper motor. The next part of this install would be to finish the backup cam is you have a video wire that requires a complete 12-volt circuit. And the best way to complete that circuit that's separate than the power wire is to tap into the reverse lights of your rear lights. There's a few ways to do this. You can try to find the wiring harness somewhere in the car, tap into that at that point. A lot of people just take the connector at the reverse light, split that, and then that way it gives you 12 volts back here. In order to get to the reverse lights, this install will be very, very involved at this point. So you're gonna have to remove the carpet, the floor panel, the side panels, the clips, the handles. All this has to come off so you can get access to the reverse light. You're going to have to remove some screws. There's a screw here, screw there, screw there, bolt here, and then you're gonna have to pop the surrounds from these handles off. And you're also gonna have to pull this free so that this panel can move this way. So let's start to popping things off. You can hear it. You can see that this panel right here just lifts up. But in order to get to it, I took the trim and I pulled that back, and then I grabbed a prying tool and I pried it up. And it looks like I broke a clip. Just this one right here. Hopefully it's somewhere to be found, but that guy has left the chat. You also need to remove this panel here, because you can see that it won't allow this to move this way if you don't remove those screws there. There's only 4 screws, and then this thing should pop up as well. Let's start with this. Yeah, once you get those 4 screws removed, this whole panel pops up, and you can see that I really need to vacuum my car. For this bad boy, there are clips here that pop into this trim, and so I use the trim puller tool to pop this out, and now this whole thing should be able to come towards me. There we go. Much better. Okay. Now you're gonna get hung up here. It's gonna hit the little lip there, but I think, yeah, no, it doesn't want to play nice. There we go. Up and over. And now we can get access to the rear light. In the wiring harness back here, there's a bunch of wires, and the one that worked best for me was red. And that way, the red was the actual backup reverse lights. And that needed power to tell the head unit, hey, listen, this has juice in it. Turn on, let's look at the feed for the camera. And so I tapped into the red wire that's back here. Now that you got your power for your camera all hooked up, what I did was I ran the video feed cable all the way through here underneath this. Then I tucked it into the trim all the way through here. All the way through here, move the floor mat up and in here, and then I ran the camera feed. Boom, that's your feed. Good idea to test the radio, the head unit, to make sure everything works before you reassemble everything in the back. Now I haven't put anything together back there, it's still all apart, but the wire has been ran up to the front, and so I'm gonna try and plug everything into this head unit. As you can see, there are harness adapters built in already, and all they do is plug into your factory head unit wires. And then this is your video out, which we'll probably never use this actually. This is your video in, and then that was my this one is for my USB for my CarPlay. So I probably can skip this harness. Oh wait, this actually has the mic, so I need to use this harness. And it has, if I were to use a sound system, this could be my sound system. There's another cool thing about this is it can have another front-facing camera. So if you wanted to really overland your rig and have a camera in the front of your bumper, some of these yellows can be additional camera inputs. Now I don't know how to program any of that, so don't ask me how, but I have seen that. But before we go any further, let me make sure everything works on this bad boy. You can see here, this says reverse, and it needs to have a 12-volt signal to this to turn on the reverse. There we go, and I heard it click. And this one should go here. Okay, here we go, let's go to radio. That's fun. Okay, fine, radio's in. There we go, radio's in. Okay, so everything's now plugged in. Now again, this is just to test. This is not the actual final install. Let's see what happens. Does power turn on? Yeah, cool. You can hear it kind of running tests. All right. So everything's fine here. All right, let's see what happens if I throw in reverse. Perfect. Boom. Reverse. Look at that. It goes out. What if we go to drive? Perfect. Love it. Okay, perfect. It's time to put everything back together. You can tell there's a lot here, but it should go back together pretty quickly. You're going to start with this one first, then you'll start with that tray, then you'll do that tray, then you'll do this panel, Then you could put everything on top of that, and then you could put this back on. So I'm going to do that now. I'll probably throw y'all in time lapse. This head unit, the new one, will pop in to these areas here with these little tabs. These yellow tabs will pop into here, and then it'll kind of stay in place. It will not use the bolts that you removed for the factory head unit. And then I just ran the microphone in like this, and then just kind of like pushed it in up here. You can run your microphone all the way up and go up into here if you want to pull all the A-pillars, pull the headliner, and pull this, and you can pop a microphone in here. This also has a microphone input right here, but I've tried to use this on any head unit, and any head unit I do, it's just very loud and annoying. So for now, I think we're good to go to pop this back in place and then reconnect these, and this install should be really close to done. All right, everything's clear. So that's popped in place just like that. Now we're going to take one of these bad boys, and I think it's the 4-wheel lock one, and that's going to go there. All right, that should pop into place now. Let's see, much better. Oh, slick. Now let's get this one, and we'll pop that one in. Line up the tabs, and done. The head unit is installed. Let's see if she powers on and I did everything correctly. Let's see if my CarPlay works. That phone reacted to it. CarPlay works. Okay, now let's see if there's sound. We'll play this. Woohoo! All right, so it's time to test the CarPlay. You ready? Oh, sick thumbs up from the wife. Here we go. Boom! Backup camera. Good. And lots of dogs.
Lots of dogs.
All right, let's get on out of here and take her for a spin-a-rooney. And look at that, as we're driving, just to make sure the steering wheel controls work, they totally work. I'm not going to play this with audio because I don't want to get monetized, but they totally work. That's perfect. I'm pretty happy with the way this head unit turned out. I love that you can run CarPlay on it. I love that there's a backup cam, front cam. I love that you can add a sound system to it. There's a lot of cool things that you could do here. I also love the way it looks in the car. I mean, it looks like, honestly, a factory upgrade from Toyota. It does not look like a cheesy black panel with like a little head unit that fits in there. It looks really dope. I do want to say that I reached out to Dasaita before making this video, and I said, hey guys, this is like the #1 requested thing on the channel. Can we do something for people? Can we give them a discount? And I'm happy to say, if you click on the link and you use the code COOLGUY8 when you check out, you get 8% off. Now I know 8% is not a lot, but heck, we'll take any discount we can get in this day and age. And that puts this head unit in around just above 200 bucks. For all that you get, 200 bucks for this kind of head unit is a smoking deal. So if you are interested in getting one of these bad boys, I'll click the link in the description or in this video somewhere. Use the code COOLGUY8 when you check out. You get a discount and you'll be on your way. That's going to wrap it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm glad to finally make the video that everyone's been asking about. And those of you who have commented on the channel about, hey, what radio are you running? I'm going to drop a link in all those comments right now today. So you guys should be all set to go. And if you have any questions on the install or on the operation or anything about this thing, reach out to me. If you have any questions on the RAV4 and what's next and any videos we have coming up for this bad boy, drop me a comment, let me know, and we'll see you guys down the road.